feels to chew 5 gum. New 5 gum. Stimulate your senses.
This should be pretty interesting. Wow, I'm tearing apart some rival rounds. Well, this is a thing I was not planning on doing if you saw my review of the Nerf rival Perses. This thing is basically perfect from the get-go. It has a rechargeable battery that is very easy to replace. It's got a 50-dart hopper, it's got a fast firing speed, and if you really needed to, the hopper comes out with pretty much no effort. Normally there's like a big charging handle looking thing here, and you can pop the hopper out. It's got like a little clip loop right here that does absolutely nothing in the blaster, so I can only assume that's what it's for, and it's designed so the rounds don't just spill out the front of it when it's removed. And yet, hoppers were the first thing that everybody wanted to get. In fact, if you go on Thingiverse right now, you can find a hopper very similar to this one that you could print out yourself in 2 pretty big sections and glue them or mount them together. This one, however, is sent to me from Out of Darts. I did not purchase this. The gentleman that bought me the Perses also apparently bought me a whole suite of upgrade parts from Out of Darts. And when those showed up in my P.O. box, well, it would be absolutely beyond douche of me to not spend the time to slap all those in the blasters. And there's really no way to just go about this doing one thing. I mean, I could just snap on the hopper and call it a day, but he bought me the triggers and the trigger, the new switch mounting plates and the mag release. I had to take apart the Perses anyway. You don't have to take apart the Perses to slap the hopper on. It takes basically no effort whatsoever. You pull off the little window, you slap the hopper on there, you're good to go. However, I really did have to do a complete rewire, and I was really against that because why would I want to ditch using this beautiful battery like I would in other blasters if I were to upgrade them in such ways? And yet, it works perfectly fine on the rechargeable battery. But there's an XT60 connector in there so I can plug in, you know, a 3S LiPo and use this as a battery door, which I did have to modify this piece. It would not fit because I put my connector a little bit too high up and it couldn't pivot in there right. So, but, I mean, that didn't even take anything out of the thing. It slapped right in. There was no problem. The print quality from Out of Darts is absolutely flippin' phenomenal. I have no complaints about that, and he has an hour-long video that's pretty good about doing a complete Perses rewire. It's a little bit longer than I think it has to be, and there's a lot of places where he kind of skips over little things that I didn't quite understand myself because I'm a brainlet, even though he put the wiring diagram on the screen before he started doing anything. I figured it out. It's really cool because he figured out not only that you can use the original battery and a LiPo, not at the same time obviously, but you could switch between the two, but you can also use the stock wiring, and that makes sense. I mean, why would you have to redo all the wiring? It's already set up for 9.6 volts, so overvolting it a little bit more shouldn't cause any problems, and again, there wasn't. It was really easy to do and extremely effective, which makes the Perses, man, it's cool before, it's even cooler now, although we will have to talk about some of this extra stuff. How was the entire process of redoing the Perses? It's not bad. Again, stock wiring, but it does require you undoing like 3 dozen screws, which sucks, pulling the thing apart, which sucks, and then messing around with the stock wiring and like clipping some things. In fact, when I first started, I clipped out the battery connector thinking I wasn't going to use it anymore, and it wasn't until the very end I realized I had to resolder those wires back on because I could still use the stock battery. But it's really simple. You cut off some wires from switches, you bridge some connections, you have to add like 1 or 2 pieces of extra wire, which you would have had to do anyway because you're slapping a LiPo in there, but it's a relatively painless procedure as long as you have decent soldering skills. There's a bit of room to work. You don't even have to take out the pusher or anything like that. It's rather simple, and it's a very elegant method, and I highly recommend following that unless you really do have to redo every single wire in the blaster, which would be very frustrating, and I honestly would never want to do that. In fact, I don't think I would have done this had I had to do that. But he's got switch mounting plates, so you glue some switch mounting plates in there, you glue some switches on top of those, you hooked up the wires into them, you got the new triggers, but you can use the old ones if you want to, but you use the new ones because they're nice and pretty, and everything goes together, and it's honestly not that bad at all. And that gives you the ability to not only use a LiPo, but also use the original battery and the stock wiring. I can't say that enough. That was like my main problem with modifying this blaster, and it's been alleviated. So if I want to just use a normal Perses, it's really easy. In fact, if I wanted to just go buy another Perses and have a second hopper, besides the fact I've changed out the triggers in this mag release, which we'll talk about, I would have basically a stock blaster. If I need to hit about 100 FPS or so, needed to hit a little bit softer, less fire rate, super easy to do. Now, I have the monster here. With every single upgrade part I could probably slap on the dude. And it's pretty wild. I have not tested the fire rate or capacity or anything. I was waiting for this part of the video to start doing that. Originally, the hopper comes with a little magnetic lid on it. It's not bad. It's very beautiful, if you can see. Actually, this might be a little difficult, but the inside of this is the back side, and it's got a mirror finish. The top of it's even better. Print quality is fantastic. This is held on by a single screw. You simply undo that, you take it off, and you can slap on a paintball style speed hopper feeder kind of thing, which lets balls go in, but balls not come out. You can also easily stuff like a paintball pod in there, which we will test because I have a couple, and that makes it, well, like 170 or so balls, 150, I don't know. It's like triple the stock carrying capacity, at the cost of having a gigantic tumor on the top of your blaster that definitely hangs out the edges. Like, it's a big boy. And maybe that's worth it to a lot of people. To me personally, I'm not really that interested in doing such things because I would rather have this sleek and compact thing. But you want extended mags? Here's how you get extended mags. And honestly, if I was going to an event like, I don't know, End War, and I wanted to use Rival because my bank account is not empty yet and I want to spend and lose all of my ammo, this is a good way of going about that. And I can fire for pretty much endlessly from a really compact, I mean, all things considered, platform. And maybe that gives some credence to having a ball hose on you. I don't currently have a ball hose. I have, of course, a Prometheus. I have, of course, a Nemesis, but both of those are stock. I don't really have interest in modifying them, but it might be a good idea to have a really good rival spammy primary, because, well, I didn't, even though the Prometheus is certainly good. It's a hip-firing monstrosity that's meant to waste ammo. This, I can be a little more judicial with my shots. Clicky, clicky, I like the switches. And if we want to just replace the battery with something with a little more pep in its step, we can just kind of... Okay, this is where things get a little annoying for me. You gotta kind of like put the battery and the thing in here. I don't even know if I can do this on camera. Feed the little wire through here. And then I gotta like kind of put it in there, but I also have to get the top of this anchored in there perfectly. It's a nightmare. It seriously is. It might have been cool if there was like a guide for putting this in, so you did it perfectly with this piece, like a little tiny thing that you could just kind of put there. It's like, hey, slap against the back of that or something like that. You can figure out exactly where you're gonna put it every single time. So this will work without modification. I was slightly too up, apparently, and that's a big no-no for this, but with my cutout, it should be possible for me to wedge it up in there.
She crawled right up in there. Not safe, girls. Don't do it.
Please don't make me look like a liar. Just go. Just go in there. Yeah, there we go! And now, we got more power. That just sounds evil. It sounds like it's gonna kill itself. And the same thing, if I want to eject this, I can just go boop, and pull it all out, which is great. And that made me love this a heck of a lot more, but I have not even remotely tried to fire anything out of this blaster yet, and that is what we're gonna do here to make you wait 9 minutes until I get to that point, or you can skip ahead of the video, but be right back. I've got a few. This should be enough to feed this Perses. But first, I've got a paintball pod here. I don't know how much this would actually hold, but the idea is I should just be able to kind of like, no, that doesn't exactly work. Huh. I mean, I can kind of feed it in there. I thought this was like, I guess this is like a speed loader for hand feeding, or maybe if I had a smaller pod, I mean, I guess I can kind of do whatever you call this. But I think this would hold over one reload of the stock Perses here. And I have, yeah, over the stock reload of one Perses. So 2 of those might actually fill this up. And I do have, in fact, 2 of them in this nice little gear that I stole from Zach. Thank you, Zach. I say I don't have like a rival ball holes. That's only because I haven't started on my heavy splatling build yet, which I've been meaning to do as soon as I get done with the deplorable that I've been building. So I should be able to get to that soon, but that's what the whole point of having all these rival rounds inside of a water jug is. That's a little teaser for a future project that I've been planning on doing for literally years. God, Splatoon 2 died in the span that I planned on doing this. Yeah, just popping rounds is there is good. I wonder if the magnetic lid would actually be better for filling this up normally, because I'm just gonna tip and spill, and this is horrible. 3 paintball pods! Wow. It fits just about 3 of these pods completely perfectly. I mean, I could probably fit a couple more rounds in there, but does it fall? No, doesn't fall out. Well, that's somewhat interesting. It'd be really easy for you to just hand feed rounds into it. And you're gonna want some space in there for them to move around anyway so they can feed properly. I will, on the screen now, tell you how many rounds about I put into one of these pods, and that should give us a rough estimate of how many that are actually in there. But now we've got this thing juiced up with a ton of rival rounds, and we gotta see how this thing fires and hopefully not lose like 150 rival rounds inside the garage. So, camera change! So this is about the best I could do for getting an indoor range, because right now it's the end times outside and it's been raining for the last 3 days straight, and I don't want to have to swim through and bob out rival rounds out of my backyard. So we've got a net behind here, but we've got these things right here so you can get a visual representation of what it's like to have things go through here. So hopefully that keeps the rounds out of everywhere, and we can see just how insane the fire rate on this is. And then I'll fill her back up and I'll swap out it for the stock battery, and it will be kind of cool to see the difference. But first, I'm excited. I haven't done this before. All right. Why? Why would you ever need that type of... Wow, I'm tearing apart some rival rounds. Besides some that got trapped back here, that was all of them. That wasn't even... How long was I even filming? That wasn't even that long. What the heck? God, I hope some of those landed in the basket. Oh my god, this is horrible. Oh my god, they're everywhere! Alright, that was excessive. Let's see how it does on stock firing speeds. This should be pretty interesting. That's all of them. It's way faster than the stock speeds, but I think the stock speeds are still too fast. That's excessive. That's what that is. It's messy and excessive. Well then, that was intense. That was absolutely intense. So, how do I feel about the extended hopper? It's a lot of ammo. The thing fires fast enough to warrant using that ammo. You still have to shake it. In fact, I was basically shaking it like this the entire time I was shooting it. Accuracy is not important with this blaster. It's a dart hose, and if you're running around shooting like zombies or something like that in an HVZ, this thing's gonna do you really good, especially when it's like so much more compact than even a Nemesis, even with this great big tumor on the top of it. And again, aiming, not really all that important, so really there's no issue there. I will say that if you are going to buy this, you better well buy this kind of speed loader thingy. This is not bad. It doesn't open up very far, so even if I tried to use this with like the original paintball pod thing I was trying to use, it doesn't open far enough. This is nice, but I think it's completely pointless. This makes reloading your blaster so flippin' easy, and that I think is the best part about this, because if I have the blaster, say, pointed down, it's really hard to get on camera, you can see how this is now level completely, and I could just drop balls in there, and they will not come out. It makes it really easy for you to pick up ammo, refill it on the fly without having to worry about your ammo getting scattered anywhere, and that is a massive boost in performance for this. And if you have, things like this, and hopefully I can figure out a way to really easily put these in there and reload with them. Maybe I can find some more that are like this, but 3 of these will fill this hopper up pretty much to max, and that works really good for this platform. But you can really only afford to run this if you have the money for lots of rival. With 300, 400, 500, you're probably gonna burn through 800 rounds in like a 4 or 5 hour long HVZ until you either take a break and try to pick up ammo, or you simply die, or you get bored. This is excessive, but in terms of all of the other kind of like rival flamethrower kind of things, or SMGs, because let's face it, this is now just an SMG with extended mags. This is just, it's really good. It's a great platform for it. It's, it doesn't have a backpack or anything like that, but you don't have a hose connected to it. You can point it, shoot it, whatever direction you want, and it's in a comfortable platform. I have no problem shouldering the Perses because it's, or hip firing it even. It's the perfect length for somebody like me, who's a little bit on the pudgier side, to put it very, very understated. I love it. I wasn't expecting to like it as much. It doesn't really change the function of the Perses so much. It makes it bigger, it makes it better, but it also really increases your performance. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that I had the speed hopper kind of loader thing, I would not be as excited for this as I am right now. Which means, yes, I do now have a completely awesome rival primary that I can take to pretty much any event and use at any time, and I don't even have to use a lipo for it. The fire rate and velocity is really good just with the standard lipo. In fact, we should test the velocity. That is something that I keep negating to do. All right, stock battery, ready, go! 101, 98, 102, 96, 98, they're hitting me in the face, but that's pretty what I expected. That's about what it hit stock. Velocity on a 3S! Man, things are just falling out everywhere. I haven't seen above the teens. It's firing a little fast and they're violently hitting, but I'm not seeing like 130s or anything like that out of it. Again, stock wiring, and in his video he says that doesn't affect performance. It definitely doesn't hit as hard as I was expecting it to be perfectly honest. I was expecting 130s, 135s, because that's what I've gotten out of like other massively done flywheel blasters. Do you need to go out and get a Nerf rival, Perses, and all of these upgrades? I think this video pretty much demonstrates that if you have a need for that fire speed, that capacity, you basically want to break games as long as you have ammo, even though, again, it depends on the player. There are going to be a lot of players that have, like, Prometheuses that get tagged out pretty much immediately in HVZ. But still, that's a good setup. I like it. It's a pricey setup. You got a, $60, $70 Perses, $55 hopper unless you print it out yourself. You don't have to replace the triggers, but these ones are a lot more comfortable. And then, like, the battery door, I don't know if there's a file for that on Thingiverse. I will check and let you know down in the description, but if not, you can buy a battery door. And, of course, doing a complete rewire, which you need 2 micro switches, an XT60 connector, and a little bit more extra wire. But no, this thing's incredible. Wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do. It is an absolute sin against the foam gods now. Let me know what you think about the Perses now. Do you think it's the new hot girl in class, or are you sticking to your nemesis? Because quite honestly, I hate the nemesis. Even though she's bigger and thicker, she's kind of a bitch. But let me know what you think. Other than that, I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I hope to see you in a entirely different one.